Ever imagine a single cryptocurrency outgrowing a company like Visa? Well, it sounds absurd, right? I thought so too. But then I saw a headline about XRP possibly surpassing Visa's $600 billion market cap. Now, I had to find out if this was just pure hopium or if the numbers actually back it up. And what I discovered, it changed how I see XRP's future just a bit. And it might just change yours too. Now, as an XRP holder, I'm always scouting the news for what's next, right? So when I read that XRP could one day be worth more than Visa, I literally had to do a bit of a double take. I mean, Visa, of course, is a giant of traditional finance, valued around $600 to $700 billion. Meanwhile, of course, XRP's market cap is under $150 billion at the point of this recording. So on paper, XRP would need to quadruple, about 376% increase or so, just to match Visa's market cap value. Now, in price terms, with roughly 59.9 billion XRP in circulation, that would work out that XRP would need to be about $11.68 per token. So we're talking double-digit XRP, something that we've been, never really seen before, and a lot of people would call crazy, right? Well, today I want to kind of take you on that journey that I went through here, from maybe a little bit skeptical to maybe cautious about it, believer anyway, that this scenario might actually be more possible than a lot of people think. So we're going to dig into the data here, the catalyst that could drive such a leap, and what I'm personally doing to actually be preparing for it, just in case. So by the end of this video, you're going to know why some people are actually betting on a Visa-sized future for XRP, and you're going to hear my own takes on whether it's realistic or just a crypto pipe dream. So stick around, because here is going to be a twist, here or there, anyway, that's even going to surprise me. First off, let's set the stage with some context, shall we? Right now, XRP trades in the mid $2 range, give or take a few cents here or there. Now that kind of puts its market cap roughly around $130 billion. 130 to $150 billion, right? Making it kind of like the fifth largest cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, and USDT. Right? Visa, on the other hand, is sitting near about $667 billion mark as one of the top financial companies globally. So the gap is kind of huge, right? At least for now. But here is what got my attention. XRP has flirted with big valuations before. In fact, just a few months ago, back in July of 2025, XRP's market cap had rocketed past $210 billion at its peak. So for a brief moment, XRP was more valuable than some of the most massive companies on Earth. We're talking bigger than Uber and Shell during that particular rally. Now, it even kind of set a new all-time high of around $3.66 per coin, depending on what your 2017 high was. A lot of people say $3.86 was the all-time high. Some people say it was $3.30. Now, that's up for debate, but I like to think of it as $3.86, and we didn't actually hit a new all-time high in July, but we're splitting hairs. We got pretty close nonetheless. Now that rally back in July was fueled by a perfect storm of some good news. I mean, remember when Ripple essentially won the big SEC lawsuit, right? But more on that soon. And the bullish market in crypto. Now, sure, after that high, the price has cooled off, and we lost a whole chunk of that valuation, right? But the key point is that XRP has shown that it can make some major leaps in a rather short time. It went from under 50 cents in early 2024 to over $3.66 by mid-2025. That's a run that turned a lot of skeptics into, well, true believers. Many analysts that I follow say that the late 2025 timeframe, basically now, is actually primed for another big XRP breakout. They are predicting a push to new all-time highs, potentially breaking into double-digit prices at last. Now, if that happens, XRP wouldn't just be breaking a psychological barrier here, it would be gunning for a top spot among the world's top assets. We're talking about, challenging giants like Netflix, Visa, and even MasterCard in market value. So when I first heard this, I thought it was overly optimistic. But then I started digging into why so many smart people are actually bullish here. And what I found is kind of cool. A big catalyst for XRP's future is the potential approval of a spot XRP ETF, exchange traded funds. This is a huge deal because an ETF would let big institutions and everyday investors buy into XRP easily through traditional stock markets, And one well-known crypto analyst, Zach Rector, believes that XRP's journey to those coveted double-digit prices will truly kick off once XRP ETFs truly get approved. Having more than just a few, there are 16, I believe, actually waiting approval, at least at the point of this recording, which is done a little bit in advance. So maybe even a couple have gone live already. Basically, what he is saying here is that floodgates of institutional money will actually open once those ETFs go live. Let's think about that then. Right now, if a pension fund or a retirement fund wants XRP exposure, it's kind of tricky. With an ETF, suddenly XRP is accessible to 401k managers, hedge funds, university endowments, all of the bigger fish. Now, that could translate into billions of dollars flowing in. In fact, one projection from Canary Capital's CEO speculated that we could see up to $10 billion pour into XRP ETFs within the first month of their launch. And it's funny enough that Canary Capital is one of the first funds to potentially have their XRP ETF go live through a bit of a loophole as well, which, if you're watching this video, maybe is already live. Anyway, even a fraction of that is a whole ton of new demand, isn't it, right? So to illustrate just how powerful that can be, an analyst noted that a previous influx of just $61 million into XRP expanded its market cap by $16.6 billion. Yes, billion, due to the liquidity effects. So just imagine, right, what billions of dollars could do. Now, one analyst suggests that $10 billion of new investment could boost XRP's market cap by over $500 billion, pushing its price near $12, which is kind of right around that Visa beating level, isn't it? So no ETF is approved at the point of this recording, but the crypto world is buzzing that it could happen any day now. At least it's on the horizon, and the SEC could be reviewing these crypto ETFs once they get back to work. So this ETF angle isn't just hype. It's actually a concrete possibility pending the regulatory decisions, or potentially if they don't actually say no before the 20 days is up. Now, there is an elephant that is in this room: the regulatory clarity. Now, if you've been around the XRP community, you know the name of the game for the past few years has been Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, right? Well, for a long time, that lawsuit was like a dark cloud over XRP, right? With the SEC claiming that XRP was an unregistered security. Now, this year, well, actually, I think it was, this year, I guess that cloud finally did start to leave, right? I mean, we saw in 2024 the partial win, but we actually saw everything getting dropped this year. It was essentially that cloud was being lifted, right? And XRP itself is not a security, or at least sold when it's sold on exchanges, right? It was confirming what us XRP believers had believed all along. Ripple basically beat the SEC in court, or at least won some pretty key battles, and the SEC has dropped its remaining appeals too. So the legal victory was a pretty huge win for XRP. It was like removing that massive roadblock. Right after that ruling, we saw XRP's price explosive rally, right? That was the June surge to $3 plus. Now, with the lawsuit behind us, institutional investors feel a lot more comfortable touching XRP. The fear that the SEC might ban this token is kind of gone. It's no coincidence that soon after, we started hearing more and more about banks and big players looking at XRP. Speaking of big players, Ripple, the company behind XRP, has been busy forming partnerships all over the globe, right? They've inked deals with some heavyweight financial institutions. Think Bank of New York Mellon, SBI Holdings in Japan, Santander in Europe, among many others. Now, these partnerships, they often involve Ripple payment technology, like the ODL, the on-demand liquidity Ripple Payments, which uses XRP as a bridge asset for cross-border transfers. So when, let's say, a bank in Japan uses Ripple payments to send money to a bank in Europe, XRP is the intermediary value token. More partnerships equals more usage of XRP for real transactions, which equals more demand. Now, Ripple's network effect is growing. Their technology is being adopted in Asia and the Middle East and Europe and, well, you name it. They're basically seeing XRP being woven into the plumbing of international finance, slowly but surely. And the more real utility XRP has, the higher its long-term value proposition. Another under-the-radar move is that Ripple's acquisition of a firm called Hidden Road. Now, Hidden Road is a prime brokerage platform that bridges traditional finance with crypto. By acquiring it, Ripple has essentially built a bridge for Wall Street money to flow into XRP liquidity pools. It means that if a big institutional player, like a hedge fund or a bank, wants to buy a whole ton of XRP or use it for settlements, there's actually infrastructure now in place to handle that smoothly. It's kind of like Ripple quietly laying down highways before opening a city for tourism. When the tourists, the big money come, they're going to be easy to find a route in. This kind of behind-the-scenes prep is what makes me think Ripple is gearing up for something big. Now, you combine all of those factors, ETFs, legal clarity, global partnerships, institutional gateways, and you start to see why people are pretty hyped. Now, one veteran crypto investor who goes by the name of 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍 actually summed this up quite nicely, saying that it's like everything is aligning for XRP. He identified 9 catalysts converging that could potentially send XRP's price skyrocketing. We've covered most of them already. Spot XRP ETF approvals, XRP's SEC victory, expanding bank partnerships, raising institutional interest plus technical indicators. He mentions that charts show XRP's price consolidating like a coiled spring ready to pop to the upside, and even community dynamics like the XRP Army's growing engagement. 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍 basically sees a perfect storm scenario where all of those elements feed into each other. He has publicly stated that in a realistic bullish case, $10 to $20 XRP is achievable in the near term, and in an absolutely best case scenario, he believes $50 is on the table. Yes, you heard that right, $50 XRP, which would indeed put XRP's market cap around $3 trillion. That's bigger than Bitcoin's entire market cap at the point of this recording today. So to be clear here, 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍 isn't guaranteeing that's going to happen. He's just saying that if there was ever a setup for $50 XRP, this might be it. Now, before you all go rush out and start calculating your future yacht purchases at $50 per XRP, let me just play devil's advocate for a second and also ground this in reality. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, so I needed to get that out of the way. Now let's talk about the risks and the realism here. While I am genuinely excited about XRP's prospects, I'm not blind to the challenges. For XRP to hit something like $50 in just a few months, it would require an unprecedented level of capital inflows and adoption worldwide. We are talking about trillions of dollars of new value after all, and that's a rather tall order. Even many pro-XRP analysts say that expecting $50 so soon is overly optimistic. More conservative voices have targets in the kind of $5 to $10 range by the end of 2025, and maybe $15 to $20 in 2026 if the bull run does continue. Now, those are still fantastic returns from today's price. Remember, right? Crypto markets, they are volatile. Just as XRP can spike hard on good news, it can also crash hard on bad news. So if Bitcoin, the market's tide, decides to pull back, it can drag XRP down in the short term, no matter how good XRP's individual outlook is. Plus, surpassing Visa in market cap is, as epic as it would be, does not necessarily mean that XRP replaces Visa or something crazy like that. Visa's valuation reflects its profits and business, whereas XRP's value is speculative and utility-based, and also is just based on its last traded price multiplied by the circulating supply. It does not show actual valuation based on any other metrics. So it's a bit of like an apples to oranges comparison here. So I do treat the overtaking Visa idea as more of a symbolic milestone than a literal one here. Right? It often symbolizes crypto's rise in the world of finance, and honestly, that's one reason that so many in the XRP community are excited by the thought of it. Right? It would be a major statement about crypto's potential to outshine even legacy financial companies. Now, let's just pivot a little bit. Whether or not XRP blows past Visa's market cap, one thing is certain here. If we even get close to those scenarios, it's going to be a wild ride. huge price surges, massive trading volumes, possible network congestion, and exchange outages. All the typical chaos of a crypto bull frenzy. Now, I've lived through a couple of crypto bull runs myself, and one lesson that I've learned the hard way is to always have a plan B and a plan C. Specifically, I am talking about crypto exchanges. Picture this, XRP starts exploding in price. Everyone is trying to trade and suddenly one of your exchanges goes down or suspends withdrawals due to overload. It's happened before during big moves. The last place you want to be is stuck, unable to take some profits or move funds around because you only had one exchange account and it is now offline. That is why I have made it a habit to set up multiple accounts on exchanges ahead of time. I've got links in the description to my website where I list all of the exchanges that I personally use and trust. I went ahead and I made accounts on things like Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, Bybit, Blowfin, BitGet, LBank, and many others as well, all in advance. I did the KYC if I needed to, and I tested small deposits and withdrawals. Basically, I road tested them all. This way, if XRP moons, say, exchange A has some issues, I can just quickly move over to exchange B, C, D, E, or F. It's kind of like having multiple exits in a crowded theater, right? You don't want to rely on just one. By the way, full transparency, the links on my website to those exchanges, those are affiliate links. So if you do choose to sign up through them, it actually supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. And I greatly do appreciate it, honestly do. So big thank you in advance if you do that. Now, of course, there is no extra cost to yourself. It's just a simple referral thing. And whether you use my links or not, please consider just having a backup exchange or two. This is just a smart planning phase, I guess, for any crypto investor, especially with exciting and volatile times potentially ahead. Right? We've seen what can happen when an exchange suddenly freezes or, worst case, does something crazy like FTX and steals all of your money. So, decentralization is awesome, but until everything can be done on-chain at scale, centralized exchanges are unfortunately on and off ramps. So, spread out that risk. On the topic of exchanges, I also have to mention something really exciting, right? I have partnered up with Kraken to bring you a very special offer to this community. Now, Kraken is one of my go-to exchanges. Honestly, I've used them for years and they are incredibly reliable, right? They have actually approached me with this pretty decent promo just for you guys. Here's the deal, right? If you're new to Kraken, right, and you sign up with my link that's in the description down below, you'll also find it on the website, by the way, right? And you trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, excluding stablecoins, with Kraken within 30 days of opening your account, well, Kraken, they will give you $25 worth of XRP for free. Yes, that is free XRP straight into your account as a reward. It's basically a 25% bonus on your $100 trade paid in XRP. And yes, spot trades count too. Now, this is a limited time offer, so don't procrastinate on it too long if you are interested. Now, I love this deal for a couple of reasons. One, it's a free way to stack even more XRP. And who doesn't want more of that, right? Especially if you believe in the long-term value. And two, it encourages you to actually get set up on Kraken, which I consider a really solid exchange to have in your arsenal. Even if you actually mainly use other platforms, having Kraken as an option with some XRP sitting there would be clutch if others have some issues. Even better, right, is that the trade doesn't have to be in XRP. You can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, whatever you want, as long as it's not a stablecoin. Now, it counts towards the promo here. Just make sure that you use my link, it's the only one that's eligible for this, and you complete that $100 trade within 30 days, and the $25 XRP is yours. Now, there are some details, some terms and conditions, and some FAQs that I've linked in the description down below. It's important that you read the terms and conditions because not every jurisdiction around the world is going to be eligible for this promotion. So do check out the terms and conditions. And of course, I have to mention this is something that Kraken is doing in isolation. It's not affiliated with YouTube in any way. So check it out. The links are in the description below, and do make sure to read the terms and conditions. Now, while we're also on the subject of preparing and making the most of all the opportunities, let me share this rather cool little side project that I've been working on that could interest the hardcore XRP enthusiasts that are out there. Now, you may have heard of Unity before. I've mentioned Unity in many videos in the past, and as some of you already are familiar with it, right? But for those of you that are not, Unity is a platform that lets you earn crypto passively by running nodes on devices like smartphones and tablets. Think of it like mining or staking, but instead of expensive mining rigs, you actually use everyday devices like Android phones or iOS phones, right? And you get to support the telecoms network and you get rewarded for it. Now, this is actually really interesting because what Unity does is it actually makes these little kind of test calls to test a local network around the device. And if it finds any issues, it reports them to the world mobile chain and basically lets the telecoms companies know that they've got some problems, whether that's outages, some dead spots, or poor call quality, right? Now, the reason that I bring all of this up today is that at least in an XRP video, is that Unity actually allows payouts in several different cryptocurrencies, and XRP is one of them. So here is my story, right? Because I did purchase a Unity masternode a little while back, which basically gave me 200 licenses to run up to 200 different devices on my node. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and buy 200 devices right away. No, that would be overkill, and they do have to be decentralized, as in spread out across different geographical locations to maximize the rewards. So what I'm doing here is actually starting a small test. I'm going to set up 10 phones to see how it works at home, and if it works in practice, then I might actually scale this up to a few more phones, right? Now, in return for all of that, I'll actually earn some crypto rewards. The cool part is that I can choose to be paid out in different cryptocurrencies, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, XRP, of course. And of course, I've opted for a good old mix, including XRP in there. If this experiment goes well, meaning that the phones run smoothly, they're not power hungry, and the rewards are as expected as per the website, then I do plan to scale this up gradually over time. It could become a nice way to stack a fair amount more XRP over time, and other coins, of course, on the side, passively, kind of like earning interest, but by contributing to this decentralized telecoms network. Not sure if any of you guys are familiar with World Mobile, but World Mobile and a sister company called Minutes Network, they basically had this baby called Unity. These are OGs of the company, have been, or at least OGs of crypto, and have been around for a very long time. So do your own research and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put some links in the description if you are at least if you find it interesting anyway. Unity is not the main focus for today, so I don't go super deep here, but I do want to be really clear about this. I'm not saying that to go and buy this right now. It's not sponsored or anything like that. It's just that I found this rather intriguing as an XRP holder and as someone who's looking for an edge here anyway. You should do your own research if it piques your interest. I'll put the links in the description down below to Unity's light paper and their rewards calculator so you can crunch all of the numbers for yourselves. And because not everyone is ready to drop, that amount of money on a full master node or wants the hassle of running 200 devices, I have got a plan to help some of you guys get involved on a much smaller scale. I ended up buying a second and third Unity node. The idea is to lease those licenses out to people in the community who are curious about Unity but don't want to commit to 200 devices for themselves. Basically, you'll be able to run a few devices under my node instead and still earn 90% of the rewards without the kind of hassle of dealing with 200 devices. Now, I'm going to have more information on all of this down in our Discord. You'll find links for that in the description down below. If you're in the Discord already, then, it is a friendly community. We have share insights there, we answer questions, and we just help each other navigate this space. And yes, it is completely free and it's educational. Unity is just one thing that we're discussing in there, so you can get your feedback from multiple people, not just me. All right, so stepping back into XRP versus Visa narrative here, what does all of this mean for us as XRP investors and followers? Well, for me, this whole deep dive has been eye-opening, right? The idea of XRP reaching a price around $10 to $12 or even higher is not some random Moonboy fantasy. It's actually grounded in a series of events that are actually unfolding right now. Regulatory clarity is here, institutional adoption is growing, a crypto market is maturing with products like ETFs, and Ripple is executing on its vision. If all of these stars align just right, we could very well see XRP break that double-digit barrier and even rival a behemoth like Visa in terms of market cap. Now that might be a historic moment, not just for XRP, but for the entire crypto world, showing that it can stand toe-to-toe with the biggest financial, or at least traditional finance world. Now, will it happen and when? Well, the honest truth is that nobody knows for sure. right? Anyone who says otherwise is probably trying to sell you something. Markets can surprise us, both to the upside and to the downside. Now, I'm optimistic that XRP is heading into perhaps its most significant chapter yet, but I'm also prepared for all of the twists and the turns. My strategy is what I shared. Stay informed, take advantage of opportunities like the Kraken promo for some free XRP or tools like Unity to earn even more, and manage risk by staying diversified and prepared. Now, I've set myself up here so that if XRP pumps, I can capitalize on it, and if, knock on wood, something unexpected or negative happens, well, I'm not overexposed to the point of ruin. Remember, right? Even if you believe in XRP with all of your heart, and trust me, I'm right there with you in the XRP fan club, never invest more than you can afford to lose. Crypto can make life-changing gains, but it can also humble any of us real quick. So, can XRP realistically overtake Visa in value? Well, here's my take after this whole journey. It's a pretty bold goal, but it's not impossible. A couple of years ago, most people probably would have laughed at the idea of XRP being above $10. Now, it's actually a serious topic of discussion among many analysts, with credible arguments on how we could actually get there. Whether it's reaching Visa's market cap of, $11 plus, or even venturing beyond that, XRP's potential is finally being taken seriously outside of just the XRP army. For me, seeing is believing, and I've started to see the building blocks fall into place. I'm excited, I'm prepared, and yes, I'm a little bit nervous because this is crypto after all. The next few months, they will be crucial, right? We're going to be watching for that ETF news. Hopefully, by the time this video has even gone live, we have an ETF out there. Monitoring Ripple's moves like the upcoming IPO rumors, right? That would be another catalyst if it happens. And keeping an eye on the overall market sentiment as Bitcoin leads the way. One thing that is for sure is it's never boring with XRP, right? We've gone through the lawsuits, the FUD, years of stagnation, and now it's finally feeling like the momentum is on our side. To all my fellow XRP holders, whether you have 100 XRP or 100,000 XRP, these are times that we've all been waiting for. So let's stay level-headed. Help each other out, drop by the Discord if you want to chat, and make sure, or at least make the most of whatever comes next, right? Because if XRP does the unthinkable, we're all going to celebrate together. And if it takes longer than expected, well, we're going to strategize and adapt. Either way, the journey is just as important as the destination, and I'm glad to have you all along for the ride. Now, if you found this deep dive helpful and you want to join us for more of these crypto adventures, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I've got plenty more to share on XRP and other crypto surprises, and trust me here, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.